It is cold out there, and a lot of people wondering about school closures, road closures. What are the road conditions? We're joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg on this Tuesday. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us. I see you're warm at your house. I'm very happy to see that. Talk about the road conditions and how closely you're monitoring what's happening on our roadways right now and the areas of concern for you.
Well, yes. Usually during a winter event like this in our area, it's about road conditions. That's the number one concern. And so that is what we're watching very closely right now. We're kind of teetering on the edge of the freezing level. So the farther north you go, especially past 1604, overpasses become an issue. So we're asking people to take precautions in those areas. There are some de-icing agents that are already been applied. KSAT's been out for quite a while now, dealing with those issues. We're not anticipating them to become severe issues in town, but again, farther north you go, the lower the temperatures get overnight, we could see some icing. So please be careful on the roadways out there.
Let's talk about power. Obviously right now we haven't had too many issues, thankfully, throughout the day today, but really ice tonight, tomorrow morning is the big concern there. So What are you hearing from CPS Energy in terms of how we're doing right now, or their estimates for what this energy load is going to look like for us over the next couple days?
Sure. Well, CPS Energy is doing fine in terms of energy generation meeting capacity meeting demand. We are told ERCOT is in the same state, so they are meeting supply. We do expect a little bit of peak demand coming this evening, but ERCOT is anticipating no issues on the grid. That said, the farther north you go, like into North Texas, all part of the Texas energy grid, we're anticipating icing on trees. Like in the North Texas, you're probably already seeing pictures from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Those could potentially be impacts when you start getting branches falling off and impacting power lines. All that being said, though, ERCOT is not expecting any issues on the grid itself. But, so we're knocking on wood and hoping that remains the case through our state partners.
Talk a little bit about the guidelines of when you can and cannot open up a warming center and kind of what your thoughts are when it comes to that. And is it your call?
So, well, this is part of an administrative directive. This is the resiliency hubs now have been part of our seasons now for about a couple of years, I guess, if you include the pilots. The resiliency hubs are a little different than shelters. So always during a weather event, we are doing outreach to the homeless population here in San Antonio. That is happening as we speak to get folks into shelter. So no one should be sleeping out in the elements. And in the event they refuse to come into shelter, they are provided blankets and warm clothing, et cetera. The resiliency hubs are a little bit different. We do open those when the temperature gets below freezing for an extended period of time, because in that case, we're also looking at potential disruptions with regard to people's heating capacity and things like that. So those will open. We did open them during the Christmas break when we had a period of time where we were into the 20s for a couple of days. And even in that case, though, we saw, I think, a total of 12 people over the couple of days that the resiliency hubs were open. But again, to emphasize, we do have shelters open. We're working through our nonprofit partners. We're doing outreach directly with members of our community that are homeless, trying to get them into those shelters. If you encounter someone who needs assistance or a shelter, you can call 210-207-1799. No one should be out in the elements this evening. There are resources available to help. So
we're talking about more than just the normal shelters out there, more than just what we have at CAM and Haven for Hope and things like that.
Yeah, well, so CAM, Haven for Hope, Core Zone Ministries, our nonprofit partners are opening space available for people to come in and sleep and be able to be out of the elements. Also being given food and things that they will need to make it through a cold evening. So those resources are available. The resiliency hubs are open when the weather gets below freezing for an extended period of time. When and if they are needed, we will open those. Those are on standby. But at this time, we have shelters available for folks so they don't have to be out there in the elements overnight. Regardless of whether or not it gets below freezing, those are available through our nonprofit partners.
Sorry, Myra.
That's all right. Each one of the council districts, they have their own homeless outreach coordinators. So have they been going out to try to get these folks who may be unsheltered into some of these shelters operated by these nonprofit partners of the city?
Absolutely, and that happens well before the temperature gets to below freezing or even close to freezing. They've been out there for several days and in anticipation of this cold snap. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows resources are available and we can get them transported if they need to one of those shelters. And again, if you are, encounter anyone who needs assistance with regard to shelter, there is a hotline open, 210-207-1799. And make sure that folks are safe as the temperatures drop.
Right. There is space out there. Mayor Ron Nirenberg, appreciate your time as always.
Thank you. Stay warm.
Yeah, you too.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. And once again, thanks for watching KSAT.